All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. We're doing things a little bit differently. I'm not in my office this time, and we're actually out in our living room because we have a very special event today. And I have a very special guest, my girlfriend Harlie. Say hi to the people.
Hello.
Today we're talking about some film that we shot. Harlie isn't much of a film shooter, but she decided she wanted to give it a go. So she asked me, hey, can I shoot a roll of film with you? And can we do a video? And I said, of course. So we went to my local lab, Exposure Therapy, and we picked up 2 rolls of Kodak Colorplus 200. And I put my roll in my Ricoh XR-2. Harlie put her roll in the Nikon FG. And then we went out and shot, but there was a very specific task for what we were shooting, and I'm going to give it to Harlie to tell us what that task was.
Just going to preface with, I'm very used to Josh coming home, being like, oh, I'm waiting for my photos to come in. And then we wait, and then we go through the photos, and it's like, there's a photo of concrete, and then a photo of a dog, and then a photo of a baby and a couple, like, walking on the beach. And, like, it's cool. That's great. But sometimes that's, like, too much for my brain. And I'm like, wait, like, why don't you ever, like, take photos of, like, the same type of thing, right? Like a roll of film of plants, a roll of film of people.
Something with a theme.
Yeah, exactly. So then I was just like, why don't we take, like, a themed roll? And then I guess we kind of both agreed on doing, like, an emotion-based roll. And we agreed on taking photos of things that make us happy.
Yeah. So happiness, that was the theme. There's going to be like big letters in this video. We're just going to say happiness or happy, something like that. Yeah, this was a bit of a challenge for me. I don't know what it was like for you. Did you have a good time with it?
Yeah, I mean, like, I definitely think that you and I have different definitions of happiness, or like things that can spark happiness. So I'm curious to see like the differences in both of our roles. But yeah, sometimes it was difficult, but all in all, I think I did it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see what you shot. I'm sure you're excited to see what I shot. We're not going through all of the roles that we shot because we would be here forever. So we decided to narrow it down to our top 5. And yeah, I mean, without further ado, let's start looking at some photos. Okay, this is one of my photos. And I like it a lot. It's in my top 5 from the roll. Do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I'm not a big flower person. Not a big flower gal.
Not a big photo of flower people person?
Just in general.
Oh.
Maybe if they were like sunflowers or something, like yellow, that gets me going.
Yeah.
It's a great photo. I like the composition, and like pink is nice.
Yeah.
Pink is cool.
I've had a lot of photos on this channel of flowers, and I think I mentioned it in a few videos back, but like there's something about them that just make me happy. I mean, they are beautiful pieces of nature, and I honestly can't pass by them without looking at them, possibly taking a photo. This was no exception. I also just kind of like this composition here. We got like a bit of a triangle between, you see that triangle with the one flower in dead center. It makes me happy.
Yeah, I do like it. I think it's cool, and I think that if it were, for some reason I'm seeing like undertones of blue from the background, like
oh sure, yeah,
background. So for me, like when I think of happiness, I think like yellow, orange, red. So for me, I don't know if it's happiness, but I definitely think it's a great photo.
Yeah, that's the other thing is when I'm looking for photos, I'm looking for like contrast between foreground and background, or different colors going in. So the pink of the flowers up against the green behind it, it really like it jumps out at you. It almost feels like you could reach out and touch this image, and I don't know, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
So I love this photo. This is one that Harlie took. Harlie, what's going on? What's going on in this photo? Give me the backstory. Okay. And tell me, but also emphasize how it makes you happy.
Okay. Okay. So Josh and I went into the city on the 4th of July, just for like shits and giggles. We had really nothing else to do. So I was like, oh, okay, we'll bring our cameras. We'll walk around, get some food. And we saw this man, and he was just like making burgers and hot dogs for like everybody else who was standing out in the street. And it was the cutest, most wholesome thing I've ever seen in my life. And all of those people, whether it be like the guy cooking or the people receiving what the guy had cooked, just seemed like so happy, so like enthralled with what was going on. Not to mention they like took over half the street, which was really cool.
Yeah.
The American flags all over the place. Like
the American flags really make this photo. Whatever's going on the right side of frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really, I mean, so I think I said this to Harlie the first time I saw this photo. But like, I'm not much of a street photographer, and I know that you're not much of a photographer in general, but like, this would go hard on street photography Reddit. People would really eat this up, because this is like, I don't know, this is such a solid, iconic image to me, and I personally think you should be proud of it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it definitely screams like 4th of July in New York.
Yeah.
Everything.
I'll also say, like, on that note though, and I don't know how intentional this was, but it does feel very balanced to me. Like, it feels like there's a heavy weight on the right side of frame, and as you go more towards the left, it gets a little bit lighter, but it almost makes it feel a little bit balanced to me. Like, there's this L shape you can almost trace when you're looking at this photo, and like, whether you meant it or not, like, you actually succeeded at making a pretty interesting and well composed photo. Just looping it back to happiness, this photo makes you happy?
Yeah, for sure.
And like, is it the vibe? Is it like the New Yorkness of it that makes you happy?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's just like there's nobody in New York on July 4th. So to see like this kind of community coming together in one photo is really cool.
Yeah, I think the concept of New York is something that's going to pop up again later in this video, I know, for me personally. So let's move on to the next photo. Okay, so this was a photo of mine. So, I want to explain why I chose this one to be in my top 5. Overall, I wasn't incredibly happy with the roll, but there were a few gems in there, and this one goes back to something I talk about a lot on the channel, which is taking photos of other people's art, which is like something that has always been a struggle within me, and it's something that I'm like slowly trying to get myself to accept a little bit more. It says the sun will come up, and it's going on and on and on. And I think that also, if we're talking about happiness, that sort of idea of the sun will come up and just kind of remaining positive through all your days, and not letting the darkness kind of take over you. I think that that's just sort of like that is what happiness is, right? Happiness is being able to remain calm, remain stoic, have a sense of serenity even in the darkest moments. And that's sort of, to me, what this poster is saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, like, I definitely go back and forth with how I feel about this. The colors definitely scream happiness. Like, it's a lot of warm yellow, red, orange colors. The content, Josh and I oftentimes like talk about lyrics and songs, and he's like, this is such a happy, good song. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's pretty sad. So I don't know, like, when I read the sun will come up, the sun will come up, the sun will come up, etc., like, part of me is just like, oh, like, is this person trying to convince themselves that the sun is going to come up? Or is it like oh my God, my life is so great, and like everything has a meaning, and like I believe in a higher power, and like the sun is going to come up.
Yeah.
So like, part of me does want to feel happy when I see this, and the other part of me, just knowing like New York street art, like, I don't know if it's as happy as it seems to be in the photo. But yeah, all in all, I do think that it fits the category.
I mean, on that note, I think that I read it as like almost like the grass is always greener on the other side, or a saying, something like that. Like there is always tomorrow. Like, to me, it is more of a hopeful thing. But I do see how you could read it as something a little bit more negative, maybe something that's a little bit more depressing. Also, walking around New York, going back to the last photo, I love just seeing other people's artwork, and New York is such a great place to see people's artwork. And like, we were walking by this, and we must have been standing by this wall for a few minutes just admiring all this different artwork that was over there. And yeah, so I in terms of things that make me happy, just art in general makes me happy, and being able to be in a city where you're surrounded by so much art, I think that's also kind of embodied in this image, because you not only have the main subject, the sun will come up flyer or whatever, but you also have all the art around it, so you understand that it's part of a larger piece. Yeah, so that's why it makes me happy. All right, so this is a photo that Harlie took. Harlie, take us through your thought process. What was going on when you took this?
I think this is one of the first photos that I took on the roll of film. We went to,
I think it was
Rockaway Beach, on 4th of July, somewhere near 4th of July, with a few friends. And I think this was kind of a test shot for me. It was just like, oh, like, I don't know if this is A, in focus, B, like the lighting is okay. I didn't know what f-stop, like all those fancy technological things were working in my favor, but coincidentally ended up being a decent photo. Maybe I could have edited it to be like different, but I do like it. It just kind of reminded me of me a little bit. Just like being out on her own, like having a good post day, you know, like the guy in the background is kind of distracting me at this moment, but maybe that's like another layer of happiness. I think one thing that I enjoy about this photo is just like being alone, you know, like both of these people that are in the photos are enjoying the beach just in a different way. One lady's got like a bunch of pink umbrellas and like pink gear, and the other guy's just like solitarily sitting on the beach in a white t-shirt.
Right.
But both of them seem to be enjoying themselves, so I think that's why I like the photo.
Yeah, well, that's funny that you mentioned like being alone as a reason for why this photo makes you happy. I mean, you can go either way on that. Like, I like being alone as much as anyone. I enjoy my solitude, but there are a lot of people out there who would say that being alone is a sad thing, right? It's scary. So it's nice that you can interpret it that way as well. And like the independence aspect, like this lady is out there on her own, looking at her phone, not a care in the world. I know you say that the guy is distracted me, but I actually think this photo wouldn't work as well without that guy.
Oh, interesting.
I can't really explain why. I mean, maybe I can. There's this concept in photography called the rule of odds is what it's called. And essentially it's like our eyes and our brains respond better to an image when there is an odd number of subjects or an odd number of points. And right now, like my eye kind of sees a bit of a triangle in this image. Even like even from like here, you get a bit of a triangle. But also between subject matter, you get the woman in the chair, then you get the umbrella, and you get the man. And you know, I don't know. So that idea of having like these three subjects within your image really ties it together, and I think it's also a really nice reading of it, being independent within the city, being at the beach. I know how much you love the beach alone, like that. You could have just said like, oh, it's a photo at a beach and the beach makes me happy, and that would be sufficient enough. But everything else about it, I could see why this was in your top 5. All right, so this is a twofer where I did a little bit of doubling up, did a little bit of cheating, but the reason why I did that was because this one is in my top 5, but I need there to be context. So this is the context. It is so essentially what we were looking at in the past photo or the previous photo is a close-up of that little ottoman there. So I went on a whole rant in my last video, in my photo recap video for July. You can go ahead and check out that video after this one. You didn't watch that video yet, right?
Not yet.
Okay, so the rant that I went on was sort of about, you've I wouldn't say criticize me, but you have mentioned many times that I take a lot of photo of garbage and just or just like things on the street, and I do. It is very true. I love just like photographing stuff. And in that video, I talk about how I have maybe perhaps unique relationship to objects, and I don't view objects or things that are being thrown out in the way that maybe some other people do. And I think part of it has to do with the memories that they hold. You know, you ever see Toy Story 3?
Yeah.
So Andy at the end of Toy Story 3 ends up taking all of his toys and giving them to a little girl down the street. And the reason for that is because the toys can provide the girl something that Andy no longer needs, right? Essentially, all of the toys have Andy within them. And now they're going to take everything they learned from their time with Andy and pass it on to this little girl. Like growing up, that was such a intense thought in my mind. Like objects and toys specifically were things that had a life of their own. They had like this like sentience to them, and they had feelings, and they were essentially these vessels for my memories, right? So when I see something like this ottoman next to this chair, not only is it really textured, and I think I just really like the texture of it, and it feels very tactile. It feels like I'm gonna reach out and touch it. Beyond that, it makes me sad maybe that it's being thrown out, but happy that it's maybe getting an opportunity to become a vessel for someone else's memories. Is this making any sense? Like,
yeah. I mean,
I know
that you and I have very different opinions on like holding on to things. So again, this is like one of those situations where I'm like, oh, I don't necessarily know if I see happiness in this photo. I think I see like the latter, like, oh, this piece of furniture, this object its purpose is finished, which is great, you know, like every person, object, thing has a purpose in life, and like it's going to live that out. And I don't know if I see the end of that purpose being completed happy or sad, but I guess I go back and forth when I see this photo.
Right.
I do enjoy the texture in the photo, the color, it's warm, it's nice. But yeah, I think this is kind of just like one of those moments where like Josh and I just have like a different perspective on like the end / beginning of something.
Yeah. What are we looking at here? What is this? Why does it make you happy? Take me to it.
This is one of my favorite photos on the roll, mainly just because I'm happy with the focus, the composition, the lighting. Also, not to mention like where it takes place. When I first moved to the city, I kind of had like different thoughts about where my life was going to go. Law school, being an attorney and having like a big girl job, and that sucked.
You did it though. I mean, you got through it.
And then I kind of just like switch gears back into something that actually makes me feel alive, working in like restaurants, hospitality and whatnot. And this photo is taken from one of my favorite windows in the restaurant I work at right now, Mekong BK. Check it out.
Mekong BK. I'm going to put the logo and everything up there.
Yeah, I just think that it's really peaceful, and I think that it not only represents the restaurant and the vibe of the restaurant really well, but I think it's also just like a really cathartic photo. Like there's like this symbiosis between like all the plants that are involved, and not to mention like something really cool about those vine plants that grow up. That makes me really happy to know that like the environment is so good that the plants are growing up. Yeah, I think that's why it makes me happy.
Yeah. I really appreciate that you saw this and that the light is coming through the window and you're shooting out the window. I'm not going to keep getting into the photography terms, but there is a term for when your key light is coming from the opposite side that the camera is on, or the opposite side that the subject is on. And it really creates this nice silhouette. And also, again, we have this rule of odds thing going on where we have the three subjects for our eyes to bounce between. And you've also got the horizontal and vertical lines. These things are like leading lines that lead us to our subject. And I know how much you like Mekong. I shouldn't even say like, how much you love Mekong. I mean, she loves going to work. She spends more time at work than she does at our apartment. And that's by choice. There was a photo on the roll that was taken at Mekong.
Yeah.
That I actually like.
It was too dark.
I don't know. No. I like it way more than this one. I am going to show it in the video, but I like this photo too. And the fact that you like it and it makes you happy. I think there's also something to be said about just taking a photo of a space that you enjoy being in. I mean, you can't beat it because it just kind of transports you back to that place. I think if you were to look at this, let's say you're not working in Mekong in 10 years. If you were to look at this photo again, or look at any of the photos that you did take in Mekong, I think they would, but they would transport you back to that time, and that's something that should make you happy. Maybe a bittersweet happiness, but yeah, it makes you happy all the same.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's over there sleeping. Should we go get him?
I can get him.
Go get him. He's taking a nap. I feel bad waking him up from a nap. It'll make the video so much better. Here he is, the man of the hour. He's hiding. Oh, he's a little camera shy today, huh? All right, so this photo, I mean, like, I feel like it needs no introduction. I don't need to explain why this photo makes me happy. I talk all the time on this channel about how much I love our cats. Kirby's over there. I'm not gonna with Kirby, but our cats are just so adorable, and I straight up could watch them all day. I could just watch them lounge around. I could watch them fight with each other. I don't know. They're such fascinating creatures. They end up being incredibly photogenic, especially when they're sleeping. They sleep on this windowsill right behind us. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I need to talk that much more about it. I mean, it's just, you can't look at it and not smile. And I know that people watching this don't have the relationship to our cats that you and I do.
He's disabled. We should mention
He's also disabled. You can't tell that from the photo, but he is a little disabled. His hind legs don't. He doesn't have like full motor control of his hind legs.
If you don't like Pierre, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just mean.
Yeah, if you were typing out like a mean comment toward Pierre, You were just making fun of a disabled cat, and you're going to hell. I don't make the rules, but that's what's gonna happen. And yeah, I just love our cats, and I love Pierre.
Such a handsome man.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. I saw your entire roll, so I know what you took photos of.
Yeah.
I personally feel that there were better photos.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm curious why you picked this to be in your top 5.
One, I've said that once, I'll say it again. Yellow, orange, red. Warm colors, happy, right? Doesn't matter where I see it. Doesn't matter when it's going on. Yellow, orange, red.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. I think this photo, outside of the colors and the composition, a little triangle, I really tried my best. I think that this photo goes back into like my love of the service industry, and this kind of gives me like a opening vibe, like we're ready for service. Everything is prepped, ready to go. This is like the piece before the chaos, the storm that comes in. And not to mention like the restaurant or takeout, whatever you want to call it, takeout place we were in. It's called ATM Deli. It's a vegan place.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just about to ask where this was.
ATM Deli. It's on Bedford and DeKalb. It's an incredible place. It's like family owned. It's vegan. It's delicious. I really liked the vibe of the people that were there, and I really just liked how I felt when I was sitting in there, and this is kind of what it looked like, and it just reminds me of like the overarching emotion I was feeling when I was like sitting there waiting for my food to take out. It was very peaceful, it was calm, it was cute, it was yellow, it was happy, it was upbeat, no killing animals, So yeah, I like this photo.
So I have an interpretation of this photo.
Okay.
It is happy to me. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying before about the one with the ottoman. I'm not going to let that go. But to me, like these seats are inviting someone to sit on them. That's sort of, you could look at an empty seat and maybe you think that someone has just left it.
Right.
Or you could think that it's waiting for someone.
Exactly, like the pre-shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in that respect and hearing your explanation of it, I think I appreciate and respect this photo more, having heard your interpretation of it, which I will just say is sort of like that's a big reason why we did something like this, and also why like on this channel I make those videos, my photo recap videos, because a lot of times a photo is just a photo until you talk about it, until you ascribe meaning to it. And this is a photo that it wouldn't have stuck out to me, but hearing your explanation of it, it gives me a whole new appreciation for it. Here is a photo that I took, and this kind of goes back to something we were talking about earlier, like way before. And you and I both live in New York City.
New York.
We live in Brooklyn, but neither of us grew up in the city. You grew up in New York, but you were upstate. You're a New Yorker. I'm a Connecticut, is what they say. I gotta bleep that. Yeah, so I grew up in Connecticut, and I went to school on Long Island, and then moved to the city shortly after graduating college. And I've been here for going on 5 years now, I think. Yeah, it's been about 5 years.
No, more.
Let's see, I moved here in 2019. So, yeah, it would be about 5 years. I think I moved into Harlem the summer of 2019.
Really? I thought you were in Harlem for like 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not making much sense.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You've been in New York for like 6 or 7.
This doesn't have to make it into the video.
No, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I've been in New York for 4 years.
The point is, I love living in New York City. I mean, a lot of people I know are kind of like inching their way out of the city, and I feel like I love living here, and it just feels like home. It feels natural. It feels, I don't know, as so many of my friends from maybe Connecticut or even my parents, they don't understand how I could live in the city. They think that this place is, I think I'm crazy for living here, and I don't know, it just feels like home.
Is this the Williamsburg?
This is the Manhattan Bridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you're here and you're like walk that way, you would hit the Brooklyn Bridge. This is a bridge that you could take a photo of from like that spot in Dumbo, where it's like between the two buildings. But this is just from a different angle. And yeah, I picked this one as one of my top 5 because of the composition. And I think this is a photo I've taken before, but and I talk about triangles all the time, but I mean, we very clearly have a triangle here. And also just because it reminds me of New York City. It reminds me of Brooklyn. and it reminds me of home. So that makes me happy.
Yeah.
For a different
Yeah, I mean,
bridge.
like, the Manhattan Bridge is objectively, like, uglier than the Brooklyn Bridge, but just in terms of convenience, I have to go into Chinatown all the time just for the restaurant. So, like, the Manhattan Bridge is very, like, homey, cozy, comfortable for me. So, like, seeing it in a photo is really cool just because, like, I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's mine. I go over that, you know?
Yeah, you can't see them, but our cats are. Oh my god, they're really lounging. Hold on, I'm gonna take one of the. What? I want to show you all what's happening. Look at that. These guys are menaces. All right, so this photo was taken by Harley.
This is my photo.
All right, explain to me again. So
I have no connection to bikes or mopeds or
yeah,
any of those things. Contrary to popular belief, my name is Harley, not a motorcycle kind of gal. But
it's spelled different.
yeah. I mainly took this photo just because of, one, the composition. I think it's really cool. It's very like, ooh, dangerous, hot,
Yeah.
bike, yeah, nice. And the color, it's baby blue. So how can you go wrong? It makes me happy just because it's like, it gives me like feelings of like youth, longevity, again, like danger, like, ooh, I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing.
Right.
Like, what's at the other end of the photo?
You focused on the word primavera. Was that intentional?
No, I didn't even notice that until you said it. Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all you
That's all
got.
I got. I mean, it makes me happy. Maybe not for the direct reasons in the photo, but still a cool photo nonetheless.
Yeah, I actually think I took a photo of this moped as well. Just maybe from a different angle, but yeah. I mean, I understand the sort of. Well, I understand on an aesthetic level, on a visual level, why something like this stands out. Definitely,
Yeah.
Seeing bright colored vehicles, whether they be mopeds or cars,
Right.
they always make me want to like observe them. Yeah, they always make me want to like go closer to them, take a photo of them. So I think both of us saw this, and we both wanted to take a photo of it. But I will say again, I know I said this earlier, I think that there were better photos on your roll.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you want to show the Mekong photo?
I'll show a whole bunch of photos, I think, at the end.
Okay.
Be-
Like, what
that
photo
one?
did you think was better?
I mean, I
I
love that one.
Oh, what? No.
Dude,
That doesn't make me happy. I was actually mad that my mom made me take that photo.
think it's
She's
a
like,
good
"You
photo.
show me your shoes." And I'm like, I don't like shoes. I don't give a about shoes.
all right.
I'm going to go eat dinner.
Well, hold on. We're not done yet. We got to wrap this whole thing up.
All right.
But I am hungry. I do want to eat dinner also. Those are our photos.
Who's a better photographer, me or Josh?
Yes, that's what this whole thing was. It was a versus episode.
He sucks.
No, okay, so I want to do like final thoughts on this whole little experiment that we did. I gotta say also, like just for me personally, as someone who does take a lot of photos, going at it with an emotion attached as like a theme, as the goal being to take photos of things that make me happy, was challenging, just because happiness is not, I wouldn't say it's a go-to emotion.
I'm so depressed.
No, but it's not even that. It's like, I think a lot of times I almost feel happier after I see the photo. If that makes sense. Like happiness is something I feel
happiness
in the
is something
moment.
that's felt like in retrospect.
Yeah.
Especially as you get older.
But like this whole thing like made me feel more in tune with what I was photographing. It made it feel a lot more intentional. It made it feel like, yeah, I guess just like intentional is like a really good word to use, because it forced me to look at what I was photographing, what I was about to photograph, and really, really dig down deep and ask myself, is this worthy of being photographed on the basis of it making me happy? I thought we were just going to both shoot a roll of film, but when you brought up the idea of having a theme attached, it really, I think it really elevated it.
I mean, ideally, the theme was just supposed to like help organization and help my brain be able to like see your photos, right? Because like sometimes I'm like short circuiting when I see your rolls. But yeah, I mean, as somebody who doesn't take photos often, I not only think that it was a good exercise, just helping me determine like, oh, like that wasn't a good composition. Like that's not how you take photos. That's not good lighting. But I also do think that it helped do the same thing. Like it helped clarify like what actually makes me happy, because there are a few photos on the roll where I'm like, why did I take that photo? And Josh was like, no, I like that one. I'm like, yeah, but that
There's so many, yeah.
in fact doesn't make me happy. In fact, that photo makes me angry, you know?
But is it that they make you angry in retrospect, or like, because
No, it made me angry when I was taking it, but I had like 11 photos left. And
Right.
we were already taking so much time to complete the roll. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right, whatever.
Would you do it again?
Yeah, I'm excited to take another roll. Maybe we should do like anxiety next,
Oh,
just
that's
because
good.
that's like more relatable.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take a picture of everything.
I'll take,
that I see her,
I'll
like-
take 36 photos of our stove.
Yeah, I'm just.
That's a whole thing. We can talk about that later. Yeah, and so I think we'll take suggestions for what you think the theme of our next photo,
Or if, like, you
our
just
next
want me
roll of
to-
film.
If you want me to take over Josh's,
Yeah, should Harley take over the channel from now on, and I'll just hang out behind the scenes. No, this was a lot of fun. I thank you for being involved. Thank you for coming onto the channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos come out. You can hit that like button. Go ahead and head to the comments. Let us know if you like videos like this, and we'll make more of them in the future. You can help support this channel by finding the join button, and for a few bucks a month, you can help support me and support the channel and keep it going
cats.
forward. And our cats, you could feed our cats. You could also help feed our cats by going to my print shop, and you could find prints on there. They're really great quality from darkroom.com. And you could follow me on Instagram. You could also maybe follow Harley on Instagram.
you could.
And yeah, with that, that's about it. Let's we'll see you all next time.
Okay,
All right, we did it.
I'm gonna go eat.
I'm starving.
Yeah.
I don't know what's for dinner, but I'll eat about anything.